Good afternoon and welcome to Authors at Google. Today we have Matt Honan here with us, who'll be talking about his new book, Barack Obama is Your New Bicycle, based off of his website. He's a freelance writer and an active blogger, as well as a contributing editor to Wired magazine. His pieces have appeared in Macworld, Times, Women's Health, and Salon.com. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Matt Honan.
Hello, my name is Matt, and I wrote a little book called Barack Obama is Your New Bicycle. Now, I'm not really exactly sure how the typical author event works here, but it's not the kind of book that really lends itself well to, say, a dramatic reading. I think everybody get a little bored after about the 50th phrase, and I'd be out of time. But I thought instead what I would talk about a little bit today is where the book came from and how it began. And in doing that, I thought I'd talk a little bit about memes and how memes begin and how, in particular, this meme began. And since I'm here at Google, I assume all of you are familiar with what a meme is, but just in case, let's start by talking about what that is. It's a meme is just basically an idea that spreads from person to person. Frequently, people will adapt it, change it, alter it. Sometimes it just, they'll just see something and spread it. It doesn't necessarily even have to be something on the internet. It can be something that, takes hold in popular culture and moves around. This is, I assume most of you have seen the All Your Base or Belong to Us, which was kind of an early video meme that really took off. It started on the Something Awful boards, and that's something that happens with memes a lot. They'll get started in a tight-knit community where there's almost a crucible type effect where people start remixing stuff, redoing people's ideas, making them better, making them funnier, and then all of a sudden it'll escape from this little closed community and reach the internet as a whole. And when it does that, a lot of times, it's gone from kind of a dumb in-joke to something that's really funny and really accessible. The lolcats are another idea, and I'd be remiss if I didn't note that the lolcats book is also coming out from Penguin, I think next month. But lolcats started on 4chan, which I assume most of you may know, but 4chan is a board where kind of anything goes type of place. There's been a lot in the news recently about 4chan because it was where the Sarah Palin email images were first posted. It was where the guy who had done the social hacking to get into her email account had posted the screenshots initially, and so there's been a lot about it in the press recently. But 4chan, there have been a lot of things that have come out of 4chan because it's just got such a massive user base, and you've probably seen another one too, which is this. Okay, that's enough. I felt a little badly about rickrolling you guys, but then I remembered that Google had kind of rickrolled like 15 million people on April 1st, so I got over it. But a meme is just something that spreads from person to person, and Barack Obama, for whatever reason, has really inspired a lot of people to create things that have spread online. Shepherd Fairies. Hope poster is a good example. Hope Progress poster, his image of Barack Obama, this very stylized picture of him. And other artists began doing similar things after that. And it's this is a meme that's both online and off. You'll see these posters around the town. People copied them. People made bootlegs of them basically and did them themselves. Another big online Obama meme, of course, is the Will.I.am video, which was one of the first Obama memes that sort of took off on the internet. You started seeing this getting posted on people's blogs, posted just kind of all around the internet, especially because you can embed it. It makes it really easy to spread it. But as Jessamine West, who runs librarian.net, has pointed out, is the funny thing about memes is you can't force them. You can't really start a meme. You can't say, oh, I've got this great idea, and so I'm going to spread it. You don't really get to decide. It's other people who decide that. It's kind of a shame because if you could force a meme, it'd be be easy to make some money off of them. But you can't do that typically. So I kind of started a meme, which is purely accidental. My wife Harper, who's here today, is a avid cyclist. She's been just into bikes for as long as I can remember, and she always has this kind of running conversation going with me about whatever she's doing to her bike. She's changing out the tires for something with better traction. She's adjusted the gear ratios. She's doing all kinds of things like that, and or talking about where she's riding, where she's gonna ride, who she rode with, and it's sort of her running obsession. But in about January or February this year, I noticed that she wasn't talking about bikes so much. All of a sudden, it was just Obama, 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 Obama. She was, instead of spending all her time degreasing her chain, she was spending all her time making phone calls to voters in Nevada. And there was this kind of constant refrain in our kitchen about, oh, did you know Barack Obama did X, Y, Z? And so I started teasing her, Barack Obama is your new bicycle. It was just something I would start saying to her when she would begin kind of going on about it. And it was just kind of a private in-joke between us for a couple of weeks. And then when I was at, I assume most of you guys live in San Francisco, I was at Toronado with my friend Andre, and I said it to him when he said something about Obama, and he laughed. And I thought, well, maybe that's kind of funny. Maybe it would be kind of funny to other people. And so I was riding home on the 5 Fulton one day, and I thought, other people might think that's kind of funny, and it would be kind of a funny URL, the BarackObamaIsYourNewBicycle.com. And I got home that night, and I registered the domain, and I put up, I think, 58 little phrases about Barack Obama, about what a neat guy he is. It was just a little PHP script, and you click on it, it feeds you another one, feeds you another one, feeds you another one. And they're all just little silly things like this. He poured you a cup of coffee. He left a comment on your blog. He parsed your error. Mailed you a Valentine. And this one was because I made the site on February 13th, and it was kind of, sort of in the back of my mind, it was intended as a Valentine's Day present to Harper. I thought she would think it was kind of neat, So, oh, and he favorited your photo. Listen to your MP3. So I wake up the next day, and sort of at the last minute, I'd been talking again to my friend Andre online, and he said, you ought to put some stats on there. I showed him the site, and he said, you ought to put some stats on there. And so I did, and I went to bed, and this was at like 9 o'clock that night. And I woke up the next day, and there's all this email in my inbox from people talking about what a great site it was. And I was sort of weirded out by that, because I didn't have an email address anywhere on there, and I didn't have any contact information or my name, and you would have had to look at the source code or check the who is to find out that it was me. So I went and looked at the stats, and something like 20,000 people had stopped by the first day. This was 32,000. I think that was later in the day. And that was very strange, and I didn't really understand how that had happened. And so I sort of did some digging around, and I figured out that, or I traced it by figuring out what had happened. And when I'd launched the site, I'd put an update on Twitter. I'd just, put this little thing, send it on Twitter, and that was it. And I don't have that many Twitter followers, or I have about 1,000 or so now, and at the time I think I maybe had 300 to 500. This would have been in February. And so it certainly didn't come from my Twitter feed. I wasn't sending all these people to my site that way. But then I found out that Anil Dash, who subscribes to my Twitter feed, had redone it, and that was at 7:20 in the morning on Valentine's Day. Now, unlike me, Anil has thousands of followers, and he also has a pretty high influence level. And I think that's something that's important when you think about memes, is that you have these things that can kind of be done in somebody's home or in a community or whatever where they create this idea, but you need almost a superseder to get them out into society at large, and that's what Anil is. He's a guy who's got a lot of influence. He puts something on his blog, he puts something on his Twitter stream, and all of a sudden it's in front of a lot of eyeballs, and more importantly almost, it's in front of people's eyeballs who are also very influential. So not long after Anil posted something about it, Anna Marie Cox picked it up and put it on her Twitter stream. Now, I don't know how many people subscribe to her Twitter stream, but I do know that a lot of people read her blog because it's on Time Magazine. So she also put something on her Time Magazine blog on it. And this is where I think a lot of that traffic came from. And just looking at the timestamps on all this stuff, you can kind of see how it sequentially happened. This is all February 14th still. And so later that day, Andrew Sullivan picks it up. It goes, he called it a, yep, it's Valentine's Day, and put a link to it. And by the time it's on Sullivan and Time, that's where, the big traffic is coming from that first day. And it kind of kept on going. By 2 weeks later, I'd gotten a call from the Washington Post. At this point, it was there were, I don't know, I should have looked at the stats before I came, but there were tens of thousands of people a day stopping by the site. I was getting all kinds of email about it. I was getting calls from reporters. I was getting calls from reporters who were convinced that it was a pro-Obama site, or it was an anti-Obama site, that it was done by a Hillary supporter, that I was like some closet McCain person. I was just trying to make a joke. I mean, I didn't intend for it to be any of those things. I didn't intend for it to have any political motivation at all. I was just kind of commenting on the will.I.am, yes we can fervor that seemed to be sweeping the country. But it kept on going. It was the New York Times Magazine. My favorite was MTV, who called me a cool kid. I was like, where were you guys 20 years ago? I could have used you then. And so it was really popular, and it really spread quickly, and it became really popular in the media. But media popularity doesn't necessarily make something a meme, or just, a lot of people writing about something. It doesn't really make it a meme. So what makes it a meme? You do. What makes something a meme is when people pick up on it, and they really begin to make it their own, or they take ownership of it, they alter it, they take it as an idea that they themselves almost had. They can relate to it. This is how someone picked up on the Yes We Can video. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but somebody took that idea and ran with it.
You can't do it, my friend. President Bush has talked about our staying in Iraq for 50 years, maybe 100. That'd be fine with me. I'll offer anybody here $50 an hour if you'll go pick lettuce in Yuma this season and pick for the whole season. So, okay, sign up, okay. When you sign up, and you'll be there for the whole season. You can't do it, my friend. That old Beach Boys song, Mama Ran. Ran out and get away.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
I think you get the idea. So right away, people began taking off on the Barack Obama's Your New Bicycle thing, and all these other websites started popping up. And they would do the same. They would do the same sort of thing. They would make an allusion to the original, twist it, flip it, make it their own. Most of them had the same Helvetica font, same. A lot of them actually just used the same style sheet. They just took my style sheet and reused that. This one actually maybe turned out to be. Maybe we should have listened to Ron Paul. I don't know, based on recent events. It would have been good to buy some gold back in February, but it didn't just stick with politics. We had Steve Jobs sites. There were some that were very meta. This one, isyournewbicycle.org. You could enter anything in there and click submit, and it would make that it, and you could make different phrases too. Because it's in San Francisco, we had, of course, a Barack Obama is Your New Fixie website. And this is actually, I didn't even know this at the time. This was done by a friend of mine. I found out later. And then it kind of came back to Twitter again. And on Twitter, all these people started doing this when Obama wins thing. People would say, when Obama wins, this will happen. When Obama wins, that will happen. And there was like a 2 or 3 day period when all these things were kind of rolling across Twitter, and then Jason Kotke picked up on that and made a little sub-site off of Kotke that automatically would pull those phrases from Twitter and add them to his site here. He also, very wisely, something I didn't do, he also put advertising on it, which probably paid for the site a lot better than mine did. And they keep coming. I mean, they're still going on today. Every time or every few weeks, I'll find some new something is your new something site, or I'll get some email about, hey, I just made a, so-and-so is your new thing. Lately, it's been Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin took your stapler. Some of these I couldn't really, some of the ones on this one I couldn't put on a site that I was going to show in public. Another one used Comic Sans to make a point, I think. This was Sarah Palin is your new bicycle, and the last one, I'm sorry, was palin.appspot.com. And they even get local. I'm just going to apologize for ahead of time. Mitch McConnell, of course, is from Kentucky, and this is, I believe, a locally made Kentucky site by someone who is an anti-McConnell person. And the thing is, you can't control a meme. So, you know, I put this little site out there for Harper, and all of a sudden, you know, with a few million people have seen it, and they're taking that idea and running with it, doing different things with it. And some of them I liked, some of them I didn't like. Some of them, you know, some of them actually really bothered me, like this one. This is Barack Obama stole your new bicycle.com. I thought it was, I found it rather offensive, and I didn't like it. But on the other hand, I can't really do anything about it. And I had a reporter recently. She was from a paper in D.C., and you know, there's a very different culture in D.C. than we have here on the West Coast, especially in the technology circles here on the West Coast. I had a reporter ask me recently, you know, can't you stop them? Can't you stop people from doing this? I kind of thought about that, and I thought, well, no, I couldn't stop them even if I wanted to, and I wouldn't want to. And if you do ever do something that ends up releasing a meme into the wild, I would say you shouldn't stop it. You shouldn't even try to stop it, because you don't know where it's going, and sometimes it can go in weird, wonderful places, as it did for me. I mean, I certainly had no idea or intention of getting a book deal out of this little thing I made for my wife, because, you know, sometimes really nice things happen. And so if I can leave you with one thing, I would leave you with, no matter what your politics are, please vote. And I'm also sorry about the rickrolling. But if anybody had any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. No?
Have you talked to the Obama campaign at all about it?
I have not, and I haven't ever really known what they make of it. The only contact I've had with them at all was I posted a screenshot of I posted that screen grab that says Barack Obama favorited your photo to Flickr, and whoever runs the Barack Obama Flickr page actually favorited that photo, which was very meta. It was kind of nice, but no, I haven't had any contact with them. I haven't really tried to. The back page of the book, I put something in there. Barack Obama autographed your book, and it's kind of my secret dream that he'll see that at some point and sign it, and I'll get it. But I don't know. I guess it's not so secret anymore. This is going to be on YouTube, right? So. But no, I haven't had any contact. Yeah.
You mentioned that you never put advertising on your site, and it's still not out there, I don't think. You thought of doing that, or you kept it simple?
I thought of doing that. I kind of struggled with it for a few days when it was really taking off. People were saying, you know, you're crazy not to do that. But I just thought it was, and I also thought about update. The only updating I've ever done to it is I put a link to the book on there, in the bottom right, and it's very small. I thought of doing that. I thought about adding ads, thought about adding new phrases. I thought about doing all that kind of stuff. But it was, to me, it was sort of a snapshot of a moment in time, and I wanted to keep it that way. And it also, it was a, you know, I hope it came across as sweet. I mean, I intended it to be a very sweet thing, you know, and I didn't want to do something that might make people view it as something that was cynical. And you also don't really have it, you know, once you put advertising on something, you lose control of it to some extent, and I didn't want to lose control of it.
How long after February 14th did you get the book deal, or how did that ultimately arise?
That happened, I'm not going to remember exactly, but it was, I want to say it was right around the 1st of March. I mean, it was pretty quick. First or second week of March, I got an email from the guy who wound up being my editor at Penguin, saying, you know, I love the site. We'd like to turn it into a book. He had previously published the Chuck Norris Facts book, which a lot of people compared the website to, which I didn't really have in mind, but it's certainly a similar concept. You know, like sort of. I don't know if you've seen these, but there'll be things like Chuck Norris can, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to think of a good one. Can part the Red Sea with his beard or something, you know. Or I think a roundhouse kick would actually be how he would part the Red Sea. So I got an email from Patrick about potentially turning it into a book. I thought, well, that seems pretty cool. That sounds like a good idea. I'd love to do that. And I was talking to him about it a little bit, and then I got an email the next day from a editor at a different publishing house about turning it into a book, and then I decided I better get an agent, and so I got an agent to take care of that because I didn't know what I was doing.
Like, how many sentences are on your website? And then, like, how many?
I believe there are 58 on the website, and supposedly there are 366 in the book. I haven't ever actually sat down and counted them all. I turned 500 into my editor, and so I'm not quite sure why he didn't use all 500 of them. I guess some of them were really terrible. But no, I think the idea was it was going to be one for every day this year because it's a leap year. Sure.
I might miss this, but have you put any like analytics tracking on there to see where people are coming from?
I have, and I haven't actually looked at that recently, but generally it still gets on a slow day about 1,000 people a day, and it still pops up in the news, which is very odd to me because it's been around so long now to me, but people are in internet time to me it's ancient, but it's still people still discover it. Like I was mentioning, talking to the reporter about being able to stop all this stuff, and she had just seen the website for the first time after seeing the Sarah Palin website, so every once in a while it'll show up in like recently, and it showed up in a paper in Boston, and it and all this, there's a big traffic spike, or somebody will write something about something related on Wired's blog, and there'll be a big traffic spike. But most days it's about 1,000 or so people a day.
How long do you plan to keep it up? Or are you going to make any changes after the election?
Nah, I'm not sure if I've done this, but I meant to do it. If I haven't, I'm going to do it. I was going to buy like a 10-year domain plan and just leave it. I mean, it's just, to me it's almost like I've always loved looking at like old campaign buttons, old campaign posters, things like that, things that are kind of a relic from a piece of time. Because if you look at, especially, I really like design, and if you look at like old campaign buttons, you'll see like when you see the way that people designed them, when you see the fonts they used, or the or the colors they use, and the phrases that are on them, it speaks not only to the campaign itself, but it speaks to where kind of the country was and our ideas were as a whole at the time. And I like that about the site. I mean, I think that it's got stuff on there like about Facebook and about Flickr, and just kind of things that are popular today that may not be popular 5 years from now. For example, if I had done it in the 2000 election, I might have had something about Napster on there. And so I like being able to go back and look at that, I like the idea of being able to go back and look at that like 5-10 years from now and see where it was. So, yep.
I saw you earlier, and you said you also write for Wired.
I do.
What type of articles do you contribute?
I do a lot of different stuff for them. I do a lot of front of the book stuff, like the stuff that's in the start section, the test section. So I do a lot of product testing for them. A lot of the things that I do there are shorter, allegedly funny stuff, and then I do a lot of I think I said a lot of product testing and a few feature stories, but not that many. I mean, the last one, I think I've got one coming out in the November issue, and the last one was in like the July issue, and that was about this new coffee maker, and that was just bought by Starbucks or purchased by Starbucks. Wired's a nice job, though.
Have you tried the coffee? We've got a couple of those makers.
Oh, I know the guy who put them in. Then you have a couple of them here.
Yeah, not on this campus, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, I know the person who put them in on the there are 4 of them, I think, in Mountain View. Is that right?
I've heard of 2. I don't know.
2?
Could be a couple more.
Those, I believe, are actually repurchased clovers. I may be wrong, but when Starbucks bought the company, they wanted to keep it for themselves, and it's an amazing machine. It does really bring out these unique characteristics of beans, but Starbucks kind of didn't want anybody to have it. I mean, they in fact told me, we don't want anybody else to have it. So those that went in at Google are some of the last ones that are going to go in anywhere. I think Google and Ritual were the last people to get one. Yeah.
Shoot that down the map, you try it.
I would love to. Is that an invitation?
Absolutely, please.
I'll bring my own coffee maybe, though. I'm kind of a snob.
Sounds like never cut.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.